Talking Memphis Wrestling with Randy Hales is now streaming live on Fun Media at fun927.com and is always on Facebook, YouTube, X, Twitch, and at tv5wrestling.com.
Talking Memphis Wrestling with Randy Hales and special guests.
It is November the 11th, 2025, on the year 2025, show number 44. PJ, what's going on? Hey, Greg, and hey, Calvin, and hey, Thomas, and hey, everybody. What is going on? As I'm Randy Hills, and we're right along ringside, all ready to go with another Tuesday night of Talking Memphis Wrestling. Today, we will be watching some great footage from the 70s featuring Jerry, the King Lawler, the photos of the week. We also have the cards of the week. All kinds of stuff going on Talking Memphis Wrestling today. Brandon Wheeler is in the house. Appreciate that as well. Pat off today, and also the person that's off today as well is Chris Ellis. We're scheduled to have Michael St. John join whenever he wants to join, and hopefully that will be pretty quick. He had a busy day. All kinds of stuff going on in the radio business as football, high school football is finishing up. Hey, we do have one panel member. Hadn't been here in a few weeks. I have no idea, because he's the only one on the show that ever tells us anything about Tulane Green Waves. I think that's their name, but I have no idea if they won another game since Dr. Robinson's been on here or not. First take time, because after we do first take time, Michael St. John is here. But first of all, Dr. William Rusty freaking Robinson is a man we haven't seen in a few weeks. He's the man in black, just like Johnny Cash, walking the line. First take time, Dr. Robinson.
Well, to begin with, it's good to be back, and I appreciate you covering for me while I had to be gone. But I'm feeling good. I'm doing good. Tulane did, in fact, win last week against Memphis in Memphis, which means that Tulane is still in the hunt for the conference championship and for the college football playoff spot. So we're still optimistic. This week is actually homecoming week for Tulane, so that'll be another nice benefit, basically. So, overall, we're doing good. Glad to be back.
Undefeated?
7-2.
Oh, I didn't know. What's the losses?
Ole Miss was the first loss, and the second loss was just out of the blue. They lost to UT San Antonio, and nobody knows why.
Oh, my goodness. First take time. What's going on in your life that can be made public? Because I don't know.
Well, we're in New Orleans.
I do know let me interrupt. I do know what's going on in your life. I just don't know how much public is going on that you like to talk about what's going on in your life. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, no, I don't mind sharing that. In fact, many of the people I think in the chat know already. I've had a problem with my vision over the past few weeks. I actually have a retinal defect or tear in my retina in my left eye, and I'm going to have surgery for that in December. And basically what it means is I have a kind of a blind spot in my left eye, and it just happened suddenly, just happened out of the blue. Apparently it's something that happens as you get older. And they say they can fix it. They say, I can get back virtually all of my sight after the procedure. So, I'm optimistic and looking forward to getting this resolved. It's kind of a pain.
We'll pray for you. Everybody will pray for you. We're all knowing you will kick this. You're from Memphis, man. You're from Memphis, man. You can come through that. Thank you
Oh,
for.
and I've got my
Oh,
Blues Doctor t-shirt on. So the Blues Doctor recommends is tonight at midnight. We've got a new episode, and we're going to talk about the top 10 most credible Bigfoot sightings of all time.
excellent. Excellent. Where can people stand up and show them that shirt again? Where can people order that? Have you put them for sale yet?
Yes. We've only done it through request so far. So if you let me know in either Facebook or on here or somehow, I will get back to you and we'll do it via email and Venmo. And we have 3 colors, gray. This is navy, which I think actually looks the best. But we have gray, navy, and black. And we have medium, large, and extra large sizes. So we don't have a whole lot just to kind of check out the level of interest. But I will get it to you if you contact me.
How much per shirt? And is it
It's
different on the sizes?
No, the size is the same. It is $25 per shirt because I have to do a fair amount of labor. Actually, I have to put the logo on. But I think it looks great. It washes great. It feels great. 100% cotton. Hanes unisex t-shirt. Anybody can wear it. How can you go wrong?
You can't go wrong, and we need to put somebody in charge of getting us talking Memphis wrestling shirt. Now, I appreciate Rusty Doctor, Dr. Rusty, whatever. Appreciate that very much. The last 2 weeks, we didn't have anybody, just the OGs, the people that started this show. Randy Hills, Pat Trammell did 2 weeks in a row because high school football's been screwing us around. But it's been making Michael St. freaking John the 2024 Memphis Wrestling Hall of Fame awardee. It's been high school football, college football, making Michael St. John smile, making Mrs. St. John smile, making the St. John family eat a lot better, drive better cars, life is good, and for his first take on this very special edition, welcome back to this program, the great and legendary Michael St. John.
Did you miss me?
Yes.
I missed you, and I missed Doc, and I missed Pat, and I missed Chris. I'm telling you, it's been crazy. It's been good. You're 100% right. It's been good. We have 3 out of our 4 teams here in Alabama that have advanced now to the second round of the playoffs. 2 of them that we weren't expecting, and makes it for an interesting road trip tomorrow. I was supposed to make it today, but Randy, you mentioned a car. I got a car back in May. It's been in the shop the last 2 weeks for not being able to start. It broke down a week ago Monday. It was in the shop for a day and a half. They put a new battery. Oh, you got a dead cell in the battery. Got to replace the battery, bad battery. Okay, you did it. Got up ready to go to church 7:45 on Sunday morning. Nothing. Well, actually, you push a button now, but nothing. So it's been in the shop since yesterday. They had to send a wrecker over here to the house. They had to drag it to Albertville. It was over there today. They gave me a brand new. I think it's called an Invicta or something Buick. It's a neat little car, and they said use it. We don't know. We've had to download new programs. We haven't had one like this. We don't know what's draining this battery. It's not your starter. It's not your this. It's not your that. So anyway, I'm in a loaner vehicle. I'm making the rounds I was supposed to make today that I alluded to you in the email or the text. Didn't get to make. So tomorrow I'm making the world tour of Central Alabama, headed out to Moody, which is down in Pat's direction. Then I'm going over to Jacksonville, which is where Jacksonville State is, which is in a big game for their Conference USA title lead Saturday against Kennesaw State, which we have on 107.1 FM. Then I've got to go to Piedmont, Alabama, to the Field of Champions. It is the most beautiful high school football stadium on a high school campus in all of Alabama. And I end up over there tomorrow afternoon getting my coaches for our coaches breakfast on Friday morning and our games on Friday night. The only team that was eliminated last week were the Arabian Nights, and guess who does those play-by-plays? So I get to do studio work from here on out. But anyway, that's my first take. It's great to be here. Great to see you. And Dr. Rusty, been praying for you. I know I had both of my eyes last year done, if you would. I had new lenses put in, and I'm in good shape. And I hope that they can get to the bottom of whatever ails you. I'm sure they will. They've got great ophthalmologists in the New Orleans area. So I know you're in good hands, but our prayers are with you.
Thank you so much, Michael. I appreciate it.
All right, I've shouted out to a lot of people, but Al Tuttle is in the house. We hadn't mentioned him. Dennis King is watching from YouTube. PJ, First Lady of this show, in the house. Frank Seaton watching. He is watching somewhere. I don't know what country he's in. Carlton Steve Robb is here. Thomas is here. Tracy is in the house. Tracy, known in Jonesboro radio, call-in sports as Mr. Sir Scratch-Off, is here. And Tracy says, Ideal Auto Parts 27 and still get your parts and mechanics, bumper-to-bumper auto parts from the Night Driver. So, Sir Scratch-Off, Michael heard that. So if he needs some parts, we know who to call.
Tracy, you may be getting a call, my friend. Let me tell you, you may be getting a call. I also want to have you mentioned Carlton Steve Robb he's in Princeton, Indiana. And I remember doing the rundown, as you remember, Randy, when we do spot shows. And I remembered mentioning wrestling coming up Tuesday night in Princeton, or Friday night in Princeton, Indiana. But I'm not real sure on the map where it is. I think it's in the southern part of the state between Louisville and Evansville, but I'm not really sure.
Absolutely, yes, I think, and he can certainly let us know exactly where it is. I was thinking maybe Owensboro area, that sort of thing for sure. We got a big show. Now, I'm going to do something in a few minutes after we show our first video tape that I normally don't repeat slides, but you guys, excuse me.
God bless, buddy.
Oh my goodness. I usually don't repeat slides, but there's a couple of slides that we showed last week that I want to have you guys comment on, and we'll do that. 70s Lawler is going to be something we're going to discuss today. This is titled Bloody Realism from the 70s. It's 8 minutes, 4 seconds long from a YouTube video as we watch right now, this 8:04, as we start the show, talking Memphis wrestling, the king in the 70s.
Are you telling me that you are perfection as a wrestler?
That's right. I'm the best there is.
Dennis Conn.
Trying to get Norvell over to the corner.
Bill Hicks. The Bicentennial Kings at one time. Norvell Austin and Jerry Lawler in the main event at the Mid-Sky Coliseum. Thank you so much.
While Hickerson is over here
Frank?
choking the stew out of Norvell.
Whenever you show these clips from the Coliseum, Randy, boy, I can just imagine being there. You can smell the popcorn and just feel the crowd there. It's good memory.
Absolutely.
Condrey in with Norvell Austin.
Referee is a very young Jerry Calhoun. And Michael, how much did you work with Norvell?
Towards the end of his run with Nick, I worked with Norvell, and he was a talented wrestler. I always thought that he could have achieved more than he did, but it was.
I remember that woman.
Yeah,
Miss Lily.
Miss Lily. She was wonderful fans. Wonderful fans. There's big old fat Phil Hickerson, as Lawler would say.
Yeah. I don't think that saying fat is politically correct anymore. Maybe it is. Can you get away without saying fat? Can you get away with saying fat, Michael?
You know, I don't keep up with it anymore. I gave that up. What's good one day is not good the next, right?
As Frank thinks I don't know, obviously I know more than Frank knows. Anyway, Norvell was the early tag team partner with Frederick Monroe, and they were a great tag team. And Lawler, a false tag there, the referee didn't see it. My favorite referee of all time, and there's been great ones like Ronnie West. My favorite is Jerry Calhoun.
You know, that team between Sputnik and Norvell was so fun, in part because remember, Sputnik had a white streak down the middle of his hair, and Norvell dyed his hair white and had a black streak down the middle of his hair for a while just to match each other, which was a lot of fun.
Michael, is Phil Hickerson not the most agile, big son of a gun you've ever seen in your life?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Lawler with the chain. Here we go.
Lawler with a chain on his fist, going after Hickerson and Condrey.
Boy, Condrey with that bleach blonde hair, he's got that black streak right there in the front.
Hickerson and Condrey.
Yeah.
They're both bleeding.
You know, I always never could figure out. You see Lawler beating the heck out of him with the chain, and they're getting bloody. Sometimes guys would get bloody when they get hit by a chain, and sometimes they wouldn't. Never started. They didn't have like if you're going to get hit by the chain, you will get blood. I mean, you will get juice. So I don't know. Maybe the rules were a little discolored back in those days.
Hello to Gerald Jones.
Hickerson nails
Gerald,
Lawler.
my
He is
mother
down.
told me a long
Now
time
they're
ago
going
if
back
I
to
don't
work
have
on
something
Norvell,
good to
the
say about
referee, trying to pull
something, my
himself
mouth
up.
shut. And so your question that we're not going to put up on the air, I'm not going to answer. But you can send
Hickerson
me
with that
a
enormous leg splash.
Facebook message, and I'll
Came
get
down with a
around
big
to
leg
telling you
on
my opinion.
Norvell.
Now, Frank says Hickerson was so underrated. He could really work. And you know another thing Phil could do, Rusty and Michael? He could street fight like a son of a gun. I wouldn't want to screw with Phil Hickerson.
Oh, I bet.
I bet he could shoot, too.
24 minutes and 3 seconds, and the winners are going to be
You know, I saw a
Hickerson
match
and
just
Condrey.
today, actually. I was in the gym working
In a
out, and I was
bizarre
watching
bout.
a match between
Lawler and
Big
Austin
Fat Phil
against
Hickerson,
Hickerson
as
and
Jerry
Condrey.
Lawler always said, and Billy
So the
Travis,
official
of
winners
all
are
things.
Hickerson and Condrey.
Hickerson was beating Travis back in the ring. Hickerson was so agile and so quick for a big man. It's just fascinating.
Look at Condrey. Look at those taking those bumps off the rope. This was a great. This was a great. The Heavenly Bodies. This was a great tag team.
Lawler just sawing away.
Wild brawl at the Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis, Tennessee. Dennis Condrey had success, great success in multiple territories with Phil Hickerson. Of course, his success as the Midnight Express with Bobby Eaton. Dennis Condrey gets overlooked because of his partners, but Dennis Condrey was great, Michael.
Absolutely. I get to see Dennis every now and then in this area. You know what? And clarify this for me, Randy. Did Phil Hickerson not like to go out of the territory? It always seemed like he was in our territory.
He and Dennis went to Canada, went to Knoxville, went to other places, but he went a period of time, late 70s, early 80s, that he just wasn't wrestling at all, and he made that comeback in 1984.
Well, he broke his leg in Louisville, and I think that took a while to get him back into action.
Yeah, I know what you mean, Michael. I would have thought Phil Hickerson would have done well on the national stage, but he ended up staying in that area for forever, basically.
I didn't realize, Randy, that they'd gone to Canada, but I could see him going to Knoxville, and that's still in the neighborhood, if you would. Did you ever see him down in the New Orleans area? Well, Rusty, you were in Memphis during this time, so I don't think he ever worked in New Orleans.
Not that I know of.
No, I don't think he ever went into that territory. Of course, Dennis did, obviously, with the Midnight Express. There's the ring announcer, the timekeeper, John Ed Ring. As this brawl continues, this, obviously, Michael, is what Memphis, Tennessee was built on.
Oh, absolutely. And this is classic Memphis wrestling. Randy, another question I had, and I've been off the show a couple of weeks. Does Channel 5 now have Memphis wrestling on? It seems like I saw a thing on one of my sites the other day promoting it, the Memphis Wrestling on Channel 5. Is there a show called Memphis Wrestling on Channel 5?
We're not going to talk about it.
Okay.
I'll tell you off the air.
Okay, sorry about that.
And Tracy is correct. Saturday mornings and Monday nights, boy, they were the best times in Memphis in those days.
Hey, that's enough. We don't need any more to help.
And that's
a big brawl to start the show with action. Rusty, what did you think about that video, and how good was it to see Dennis and Phil, the Bicentennial Kings?
Oh man, that was good. Like I said, it brought me right back to the old days in the Mid-South Coliseum, which will never be recreated, sadly. But yeah, I love both of those guys, both Hickerson and Condrey, as well as Norvell and Jerry Lawler. And you're right, you're not going to see brawls like that. They just didn't occur, to my knowledge, anywhere else in that intensity and that variety. We had it good in Memphis, and we didn't even know we had it.
Quick comments about that tag team. We talked over it a little bit, but that was exciting. And hello, Richard Hood, watching from Facebook. No, watching from Twitch. Richard Hood is in the house. He got all hostile because his comments wouldn't show. They might have showed last week. I just sometimes don't see the comments. I get so distracted by the great conversation, I forget to look at the comments. Anyway, comments on that mess that we just saw, Michael said. John?
Already made the comments. I can't add anything to it. Great way to start it. That's Memphis wrestling at its best. What a way to start a show.
All right. Are you guys ready to go with pictures of the week? And we will start with 4802 and go from that. And Michael, we had the certainly the Birmingham expert on the show last week that explained what was going on. And let me ask Rusty. Rusty, you have any idea who the older gentleman is?
No, I don't. It's Tojo and Jerry Jarrett, but I don't know the guy in the middle.
Now, Jerry Jarrett looks 14 years old there. This way back in the day. And again, we discussed this last week. So interesting. I didn't know this one. Michael?
This one makes me smile. And I know it makes Pat smile if Pat were here. That is Joe Denenberg. Joe owned a jewelry store in Birmingham over on 20th Street and downtown. Sold tickets. Was the quote-unquote Birmingham promoter. Your promoters, Nick Gulas, Roy Welch, and Joe Denenberg. A great man, jovial guy. Wrestlers loved him. And that picture just makes me smile. Just makes me smile. Unfortunately, we've lost all of them.
Yes, very sad situation. Love that picture. As we go with the next picture, Mr. Dunn. Who is Mr. Dunn? And this picture is Lynn Rossi and Buddy Wayne. Pat mentioned wishing you were on the show last week because Pat didn't know and I didn't know, and he was hoping you would know this picture. Where the hell was this taken, Michael?
I think it's here in Huntsville. I think that is the Madison County Coliseum because of the roof. The roof was a domed roof, sort of like a Quonset hut. And I am almost 90% sure that is right here in Huntsville at the Madison County Coliseum out on Holmes Avenue, which is now a Sam's Club, by the way.
What year would that have been, Randy or Michael?
I would say early 70s.
I'm saying 70, 71 maybe. They left the they left the Patton Street Armory down where my papa used to live, half a block away from where my grandfather used to live and where I was raised. They left the Patton Street Armory in the spring of '69. So to move to the brand new quote unquote Madison County Coliseum, and I'm almost 99% sure that's where that is.
All right, next picture, please. Adam Dunn, Mr. Producer, sir, as we see what's next, and we had fun with this. This is going to be a history lesson for you because obviously you saw Memphis TV. This is a list of worldwide TV wrestling in the Nick Gillis, Roy Welch, Jerry Jarrett area, starting with the very first one. This is the markets. Our show was bicycled into. Michael, just go ahead and read each one of them and each market. If you have any additional comments, maybe if it's a studio show, wasn't a studio show, just start with the very first one. And this is pretty cool. When's the last time you've seen this?
I love this. WNG stood for Nashville General Electric because General Electric Corporation owned Channel 2, which had originally been Channel 8, swapped with educational TV. 8 went to educational, 2 went to ABC, and that was a live show on Saturday morning. The Channel 17 Nashville show was a rerun, but it wasn't that week's taping. So this morning on Channel 2, you had the live studio show at 11 o'clock, but on Channel 17 this evening at 6, you would see last week's live show from Nashville on Channel 17. Channel 13 in Memphis, of course, we know that was a live show with Lance Russell and Dave Brown. Channel 12 in Chattanooga was a live show. That was with Harry Thornton, who is shown in the picture right there. Is that Mike? That's not Mike Shields with him. I'm trying to think.
Mike Duncan, I think.
Mike Duncan. That's okay. That's who it is. Exactly who it is. 55 was a low-power TV in Crossville. That was on the bicycle. Channel 7 in Jackson was on the bicycle. Also, that was a network station. Channel 10 in Johnson City and Channel 19 in Kingsport. That's where our buddy from up there, Bo. That's where Bo got all of his knowledge of Nashville wrestling, watching it on Channel 10 in Johnson City and Channel 19 in Kingsport. And of course, that's the Tri-Cities area. Birmingham, Channel 42, Saturday at 5 o'clock. That was after they quit the live show in Birmingham. The live show was on at 10 o'clock on Channel 42 with Sterling Brewer. I want to say this may have been mid-70s. This rundown of the TV stations may have been mid-70s, because by then, Channel 19, which had the live show here in Huntsville with Grady Reeves, had dropped the live show, and Channel 31 picked up the bicycle tape. And this was right about that time. Channel 48 in Huntsville, that was a bicycle as well. WOWL in Florence, Channel 15. That also was on the bicycle. WKAB in Montgomery was a UHF station. That's a bicycle town, as was Louisville Channel 41. And then my little things are blocking it here. I can't see what the Tupelo. And what's the last one? WTVW. Is that Evansville?
That's Evansville. Channel 7. That's the station we're in. A couple of things I wanted to point out and then throw it back to Michael, then get Rusty's reaction to this. A couple of them were, some of the time periods changed over the years. The Memphis television that's listed on Channel 13, it was Saturday morning at 11 a.m. This says Saturday at 11 p.m. Now, Michael, my question to you is on these stations. Do you remember, say, in Huntsville, where you're from, or Birmingham, or different people in the Alabama area, or any of these time periods support your memory or different time period?
You make a good point, Randy, and I think those are typos at the first, because Channel 2's live show was 11 a.m., not 11 p.m. And Nashville, Channel 17 was at night on Saturday night. HBQ and TV, that's a typo. That was definitely 11 a.m. And WDEF in Chattanooga, that 3:30 is definitely 3:30 p.m. because a lot of the wrestlers that would be on that card would run down Highway 11 or I-59 and go to Birmingham for the show on Channel 42, which is listed here at 5 p.m. But that had to have been after 42 dropped the live show at the studio, because the live show at the studio did start at 10 p.m.
Absolutely, and Greg's saying he remembers a different time for Tupelo. Now the Tupelo and Jackson shows was arena shows that Randy West would take the matches in Memphis on Monday or Tupelo on Friday, and then they'd send that show to Tupelo for Saturday and then Jackson the following week. So that's the deal. Now, William, just I'm sure this is the first you've seen interesting stuff like this. Before I say one more, I'll go ahead and say one more time. This is after 74, this list, because if you notice, the East Tennessee towns, Crossville, Kingsport, Johnson City, they're on there on this Gulas list. What's not on there is Knoxville, because the Kazana owned Knoxville, sold it in 74 to Ron Fuller. Now, Whitey Caldwell and Ron Wright owned Kingsport and Johnson City. They were the owners there, but they used Nashville talent, and they paid a booking fee to get some of the Nashville talent. One of the early talking appearances of Jerry Lawler. I might try to show that next week. What do you think about this list?
Oh, this is fascinating. You know, I will agree with Michael. This was probably at least mid 70s, because earlier in the 70s in Memphis, did not WHBQ put wrestling on in the afternoon? It was like 1 or 1:30, something like that. I remember that at some point. But then it moved to 11.
3:30 late.
3:30.
3:30 from the 50s into the 70s, maybe 72, maybe even 71. It was 72 when I first started watching. It was Lance Russell's idea as the program director, and Nick Gulas said, "Sonny, are you trying to put us out of business? Maybe it's 11 o'clock in the morning." Said, "This kid's watch TV." Said, "Well, who's at home with the kids?" "The parents." And it was a genius thing. And I want to say hello to Crazy Gail Brooks, who's had been under the weather lately. One of my favorite people, certainly in the history of the world. So that was very interesting, William.
Absolutely. No, I remember it being on in the afternoon. I just couldn't remember what hour it was. But I think 72 sounds right for the changeover.
Michael, let's put this to bed. This is one of the most interesting images that I found. As we put it up there, and just see it right before we get off of it, as we put that image of the TV markets up there. Michael, this is just tremendous, and this is territory wrestling.
Absolutely. And you look at that list, and there are two things that stand out. Number one, it's a very impressive list. And number two, every TV station that had or every city that had a TV station within the footprint had wrestling. So, I mean, that's an incredible coverage area. And in reality, it was early cable, or maybe even in some towns, pre-cable days. So these were off the air stations. You don't have streams, and you don't have, stations that are cable only or whatever. These are off the air television stations.
It was off the air in Memphis for sure. We didn't get cable in Memphis, only in certain parts of Memphis. You could get it in Midtown like 78, 9, but we didn't give it in the whole of Memphis until early 80s.
All right. Interesting stuff that you only find this kind of remarkable, historic stuff, Michael, on Talking Memphis Wrestling. That's why we do this show.
I love it. I love it. Keep it coming. Keep it coming.
Now,
Absolutely, that was fun.
Alfred Allen says, and we're going to have to certainly go with Michael for this. Alfred says, when did Huntsville stop showing territory wrestling? We had Memphis, then we had Southeastern. So here's Michael St. John, because I don't know.
I think it was, I honestly think that Huntsville came off right after Nick sold out to Jerry. And I think the Huntsville market then went, because at first Jerry wasn't that interested in running Huntsville and Birmingham for whatever reason.
Or Chattanooga.
Or, well, yeah, and Chattanooga. You're right about that. And I think right after that, as things dwindled down, I think then Southeastern started showing the shows for up here. And, Channel 19 had wrestling. They had the live show, and they stayed with it. 31 had it for a brief period, but they stayed with it forever and a day. And I'm going to say probably 1980, maybe late 79, 80. It wouldn't be 81, but somewhere right in there is what you're referring to.
All right, Talking Memphis Wrestling, Dr. Robinson, Michael St. John, and myself, and we'll go kind of get through some of these pretty quickly. This next picture that we're going to show is interesting. 4824 is the next picture we'll watch on Talking Memphis Wrestling. This is from a wrestling magazine. Jerry Lawler against Jackie Fargo, Battleground Memphis is the article. And I think there's no doubt, Michael, the feud that made Jerry Lawler as a single star and as the King of Memphis is the program right here, because there's no doubt Jackie Fargo made Jerry Lawler.
Oh, in more ways than one. I mean, you're absolutely right. The program between him and Lawler is tantamount, but also Fargo taught Lawler so much. And you know, in the latter days, you watch Lawler, you go back and watch old film on Fargo, it's the same wrestler. Fargo, Lawler mimicked Fargo. He learned from the master and took it to new heights without a doubt. But absolutely.
Hey, what is Lawler wearing a glove, or has he taken his? It looks to me like he slipped the elbow pad down to his fist, and Fargo stopped him and applied the reverse
Chin lock.
That's what I would guess.
No, I think you're absolutely right. Lawler was probably opening the elbow, taking the pad off because he's going to use the elbow on Fargo, and Fargo caught him in midstream and put him in the reverse chin lock. That's a great shot. Look at the facial expression on Fargo. That is worth $1 million.
That is fantastic. Go ahead and put Richard's comment back up there, because I want to explain this. Now, of course, the Memphis End called Championship Wrestling, called the CWA, called the USWA, then we had Power Pro. Now, the championship in the Memphis End was the Southern Heavyweight, the Southern Tag Team Championship. In Nick's area was, excuse me, got the sneezes, people. That's bad television. I can't help it. Anyway, the Mid-America Heavyweight title, the Mid-America Tag Team title, and the Mid-America Six-Man Tag Team Championship with Nick's territory. With the boys, this is how it was divided with the talent. It was Jarrett's end or Nick's end.
That's right.
In other words, Memphis and Louisville and Evansville would be a Jarrett end, Louisville and Lexington, all that. A next end would be Nashville, Chattanooga, Birmingham, Huntsville.
Exactly right. Exactly right, Randy.
That in at all. And again, as we just these pictures give us an opportunity to educate. And the next picture, as we go with a couple of wrestling brothers, I believe that's what's next. And the next picture here on Talking Memphis wrestling, maybe not. 48-25 is what I have, is what's next. And this is the original Fabulous Ones. This is Jackie Fargo and Don Fargo as some companies, I think New York, World Tag Team Championship. The Fargo brothers, Michael.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a New York publicity shot. It was used in Nashville because Nick used it. And that is the Fabulous Fargos, the original Fabulous Fargos, Jackie and Don. And those belts, look at this, the spread eagle, the screaming eagle on the top of the belts, which later became emblemonic in the WWF. But that's absolutely what that was. And I think that was taken about the time that they sold out Madison Square Garden.
Classic picture, Rusty.
Oh, yeah, and that's exactly what I was going to say, that the Fabulous Fargo sold out Madison Square Garden and were the main event in Madison Square Garden, I think several times, which, is just amazing in retrospect because, Jackie Fargo really never did much else out of the Memphis territory after that. And that's the way it worked out, I guess.
Great picture of the original Fabulous Ones. We're going to try to get through the rest of this because my goal is by 5 minutes to 8 to show 2 videos coming up, Cards of the Week, and then one more video to end the show is the plan for the rest of this show. This is Don Carson and the Red Shadow. I certainly, you know who Don Carson is, and I think that is Rocky Smith. Michael, can you confirm or deny?
I'm not really sure. I do think I remember he and Rocky being a tag team. So yes, I'm going to agree with you. But that's a good picture of Don, by the way.
Now, Richard asking when did Fargo come to Memphis? I think he came to the Goulas Inn first, and I think it was in the mid to late 50s.
59. 59, Randy.
All right, 59, and then came to Memphis shortly after that. That is Don Carson and the Red Shadow. The next picture is 48-29, and this is a pretty cool one as well. And we take a look at this, and this is funny. This is the Mummy, who in a lot of areas in the territory was Ron Wright. Do you know who was booking here, Michael?
Yeah, absolutely.
Jerry Lawler says meet the Mummy. So here's comments on that picture, Michael, and then we'll see if William remembers the Mummy. Michael?
Early Photoshopism. That is Jerry. That's a movie poster. And that is Jerry's head that has been superimposed over whoever the actor was, and Tojo's on the other side. Actually, they did a good job of that. But the Mummy, you say the Mummy was Ron Wright, Brandy?
In Memphis, and various people through the time period. A enhancement talent by the name of Melvin Kimball did it on television and that sort of thing. As Frank said, got that picture from Abbott and Costello meet the Mummy. So certainly Michael had just didn't say the Abbott and Costello part, but you're right, Michael. It's a movie poster, and I wouldn't have never guessed that.
I picked up on Lawler's head, the way it's positioned under that hat. Oh man, that's neat.
The next picture. Got to put my glasses on here.
Isn't it funny how much Lawler loved those movie monsters? We got them all over time. Dr. Frank and all the rest of them.
Yes, and I hated every one of them. This is a classic, iconic picture. This is former NWA World Champion Pat O'Connor from New Zealand. Born in 1924, passed away in 1990 at 65 years old. Former NWA World Champion, and he held the title for a few years, losing the title to Nature Boy Buddy Rogers. That Pat O'Connor there, and just absolute fantastic picture with AWA World Champion Nick Bockwinkel, born in 1934, passed away in 2015. He passed away at 80 years old. 80 years old, and certainly just classic guys. I never saw Pat O'Connor live, seen video. Just a great wrestler in the ring. I don't know, in modern wrestling, when TV got, I couldn't tell you how much charisma or TV appearance or TV charisma he had, but certainly he was a great wrestler, and we know Nick. Michael, can you comment about Pat O'Connor?
Well, he was Sam Munchnick's favorite son. I know that. In the time I spent with Sam, he talked very glowingly of Pat, and Pat handled a lot of the matchmaking and a lot of the angles that they would come up with. I mean, Sam was the businessman and the corporate guy, and Pat was his right hand. And when I had lunch with him and went to see him in '92 while working in St. Louis, I remember he spoke very, very glowingly of Pat O'Connor and was like a son to Sam. And of course, back in those days, wrestlers had moves and they didn't have these fancy schmancy game show or Game Boy game names to them. But he was famous for the O'Connor roll. You push your opponent up against the ring ropes, you drop down, and you roll him over, and you end up a straddle. 1, 2, 3, the O'Connor roll.
All right, William, quick comments on Pat O'Connor. We've talked so much at length on Nick Bonkwinkle, but did you ever see Pat O'Connor in action?
I did not see him actually wrestling. That was before even my time, but I remember seeing Pat O'Connor. I want to say this was 1989. World Championship Wrestling brought him back in as one of the judges of the Terry Funk Ric Flair match.
Yes.
So you didn't see him wrestle. You saw him sitting there at the table. And I think that's the only time I ever saw, Pat O'Connor in the flesh, in a sense.
And by the way, he died of dementia.
Died of dementia. And just sad situation. We're going to go through a few of these real quick. 4834 is the next picture, and it's diamond ring, I'm sorry, Adam was right, I was wrong. That's the diamond rings Cadillac man, and that is Sputnik Monroe. Next picture, as we look at this is a drawing from Jerry Lawler. This is Jim and Saul Weingroff and the fabulous Jackie Fargo. Jackie has the cane in his hand, and Saul saying, "Oh no, not my cane." And that is just a absolutely classic deal. Next picture is a newspaper article, and this is the Kazana era ends. This is in 1974. This is when the Kazana family sold their territory to Ron Fuller, who started NWA Southeastern Championship Wrestling, that they had great success. Now, it seems to me like Southeastern Knoxville had about a 5 or 6 year run, and then they had the Wrestling Wars, and Ron got out, and then he had started up Southeastern in the Gulf Coast, and that had a little longer run. But Ron Fuller had a history with both territories, Michael. When had opposition or the territory would go down, he would get out while the getting was good, and he would sell for a profit, get some money out of it, then leave town.
Yeah, he did the same thing in hockey up in Cincinnati. I mean, he had a super franchise of the American Hockey Federation up there, and he sold that out as well. I love reading this article because of some of the talent. They mentioned Steve Kern, who later became one of the Fabs. In his rookie year of wrestling, he had been the Rookie of the Year, and he was on the mat or on the card for Chilhowee Park. I never could say that, even when I was in radio. But the Terrence and Ronnie Garvin, Ron Wright and Tommy Gilbert, Les Thatcher, and Pepe Lopez, spelled wrong. Pepe Lopez is I-E instead of Y. Rocky Smith, Bulldog Drummer and the Scorpion, Don Green, Steve Kovacs, who was an outstanding wrestler from Canada, Tony Costello, Ron Wright, Tommy Gilbert, Dean Ball, and Charlie Fulton. I know Charlie Fulton. I don't know Dean Ball. Salento Rodriguez. Oh my gosh, what a great wrestling name. Deaf and dumb, and Juan Sebastian, but Salento Rodriguez. He would make his rounds, by the way, in different territories, kind of like the world champion. He was a novelty kind of thing, and he wrestled all over the world.
Next picture, as we'll go through it real quick, and he drew a lot of money and was a great wrestling promoter. This is Cowboy Bill Watts. Next picture is 48-42, and this is Harry Thornton interviewing Tojo Yamamoto and Gypsy Joe, and I'm assuming, Michael, this is TV 12?
This is Channel 12 in Chattanooga.
Next picture, I'm not right. Oh, I was going to say, I was going to make Rusty guess.
Oh, sorry about that.
Rusty, would you have known who this was?
No, I'm trying to think of who it could be, and I can't imagine.
So you didn't hear Michael just say?
I missed that.
Okay. Any guesses? Because you know this guy. You've seen him at the Mid-South Coliseum.
Oh, my gosh. That makes it even harder. Oh, gee. Now I feel bad.
Okay, Michael.
I don't know.
It's Don Green. And that was taken.
Okay.
That shot, by the way, was hanging in his office at his furniture store on 8th Avenue in Nashville.
Oh, I'll be darned.
48-50. The very next picture. This is an iconic picture of Dick the Bruiser and the Crusher. And the best picture of the show from a Randy situation is this next one. I had company Friday, people. Had company. How about this? Pat Trammell ventured to Jonesboro, Arkansas for a funeral from a co-worker's mom had passed away from Jonesboro. My former classmate, as a matter of fact, that remembers me, but I don't remember her. But anyway, that's me and Pat Trammell at Longhorn Steakhouse. Great pictures would come out of that, and that's all the pictures we're going to do right now. But that's great stuff. What do you think about the picture segment?
Oh, those are so fun. I always enjoy looking at those. It reminds me of times in the past where I was either there and saw him or saw him on TV, that sort of thing. And I never would have guessed Don Green. Gosh, I can't imagine him in a suit and tie and a hat like that.
When I see shots like that, I think about those shots they put out now. You don't see makeup on these shots. I mean, you look at the wrestlers today, and they are made up from men as well as the women wrestlers the same way. No makeup in these shots, without a doubt. I love that segment. That's awesome. Awesome.
Fantastic segment. It's Talking Memphis Wrestling, and right now I want to do a thing and just take 2 minutes off, and Adam, I want you to put the graphic up there because this, folks, is Veterans Day. And what I would like to say right now is, folks, we're all at an age, especially the younger people in the audience watching now, we certainly appreciate and realize the need to love and support and honor the veterans. We honor all who served for this country. This is what today, and this is what Memorial Day is all about. I have family members. My niece Cindy's husband has been in the military most of his life, and he's retired now, Benny Avilas, and certainly have a family member that was in the Gulf War, and it's just a situation that I think that the world gets so hustle and bustle and busy. We get so busy, and sometimes I have a one-track mind and I want to do an entertaining wrestling show, an entertaining program, and educate and entertain, but it's very important. So many people veterans that sacrificed their lives, and so many came home. And there's a lot of people out there, and there's veterans parades. And today, at several of the restaurants, they're giving free meals to veterans, and that's just a great thing. I didn't want to have this show go through without mentioning this Veterans Day. Rusty, any thoughts on Veterans Day?
Oh, yeah. My father, who is no longer with us, was a U.S. Navy pilot in World War II. In fact, he was part of the same flight school class as George H.W. Bush, and they ended up flying the same kind of planes, which is the Avenger torpedo plane. In fact, when H.W. was shot down in the Pacific by the Japanese, my father was flying around in the area and actually flew rings around George as he floated in the water to keep the Japanese planes off of him until he could be rescued. So I always thought, man, how would things have been different if my dad hadn't been there, to keep George H.W. Bush alive? So, amazing story.
Michael, what comes to your mind on this Veterans Day?
I love that story, by the way. That's a fabulous story. My dad was in World War II, did not serve abroad, but served in a very stealth situation in chemical and biological warfare. And, if I heard a thing in the halls of Congress in one of these committee hearings that were shared by Senator Tuberville, that we spent last year in 2023 or 2024, we spent over $360 million on educating trans children and all that scenario. And we only spent $59 million on our veterans. And to me, that is just absolutely the wrong message, because nobody deserves more honor, praise. If anybody deserves freebies from the United States, it's our veterans that paid the price, both living and passed away, that deserve everything we can possibly give them. So that's my take. But I honor, salute, and love veterans, and I love to see men wearing their ball caps from their division or their ship or whatever. I always hopefully can say hello to them and thank them for their service. They deserve a hell of a lot more than a thank you. But veterans, this is a very, very humbling day. I did a thing on the air this morning about, you don't say Happy Veterans Day. This is an observance. There's nothing really happy about it, except for the fact that we're happy that we can salute our veterans. But this is Veterans Day for those who served and those who gave.
All right, thank you for that picture. We're putting that up there, and we're going to take a break because we're going to reset. We thought it was important to talk about Veterans Day. We're going to take a little break. We'll be back to wrestling. We'll watch some videos from 74-ish when we return after this open, right now on Talking Memphis Wrestling.
You'll see America's favorite sport on WHBQ television.
Talking Memphis Wrestling with Randy Hill and special guests.
It's the hour into the show, November the 11th, Talking Memphis Wrestling. Going back to 1974. 1974 was the year of the road to the gold. Jerry Lawler was being fed all kinds of opponents. One of the earlier opponents that he had in 1974 was Mr. Wrestling number 2, who certainly became a huge star on WTBS. He was a big star in Memphis and in Birmingham and all those areas as Johnny Walker. This video is 3 minutes 49 seconds. The King! Wrestling 2 on Talking Memphis Wrestling.
And boy, what a match as it's been. 15 minutes past with 45 minutes to go. Mr. Wrestling 2 down on the floor as Lawler has put him back there, but not before in the early stages of the match. Mr. Wrestling 2 has really let Lawler know that he is in for one of the toughest bouts of his life. Mr. Wrestling 2 back in the ring again, almost with one leg hanging on the rope, and Lawler going to work on him. The referee walks over and taps Lawler on the shoulder. He calls for the bell to be rung. He is disqualifying Jerry Lawler. Lawler does not realize at this
Tommy
time
Sloan is your referee.
that the referee has disqualified him and raises the arm of Mr. Wrestling 2, and Sam Bass is livid. He comes screaming in. The referee explaining that he saw him
1974, Lance Russell doing the commentary. A disqualification there, and I have a story to tell that in just a minute. As they're trying to take the mask off of Mr. Wrestling 2. And he's fighting for that, Michael. That mask wasn't coming off. You'd have to kill him first, right?
Absolutely. That was absolutely. It was part of his. He didn't take it off even when he showered.
Mr. Wrestling 2 scrambles back into the wrestling ring as Lawler picks a chair up and lubs him over the head.
I remember we saw Mr. Wrestling 2
Lawler
occasionally in Memphis, but I don't think
There's
he
not a
was
whole
there
lot
for
else
an
the referee can do
extended
to him
period
in
of
this
time,
match.
like he was in Atlanta for so long.
They're tearing at the
Once he
mask.
got to
The
Atlanta,
referee's
he
trying to get him off
homesteaded
of
pretty
Mr.
much and
Wrestling
stayed
2.
there most of the time. They take the mask off here and people's interested in that. Michael, did you know Johnny Walker?
I did. I've talked to Johnny several times. Worked a couple of his matches. The man of 1,000 holes.
Not going to be sitting there idly by.
Rubber. He was double jointed. He was the rubber man. And he did well with Nick before he went to Atlanta.
And there goes Sam out of the
And he
ring.
became Miss Lillian Carter's favorite wrestler. The President Carter's mother loved Mr. Wrestling 2.
Mr. Wrestling 2 had broken away from
He showed up at he was at the announcer's funeral with Gordon Soley's funeral in Tampa in a suit, tie, 3-piece suit, tie, and his mask.
Absolutely.
in the vicinity of 17 and a half minutes.
Best knee lift in wrestling, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
Mr.
I'll agree with
Wrestling
that.
2, the winner of the match, Jerry Lawler, heading out of the ring. The loser, despite the enthusiasm for some of his followers, he was disqualified. And so there you have it. A determined bid by Jerry Lawler goes to a disqualification as Mr. Wrestling 2 defeats him in the bout tonight. This is Lance Russell at the Memphis Mid-South Coliseum.
Now, obviously, I did not have inside information. In 1974, I was in junior high school. So I did not get into the booking meetings. I wasn't smart to the business. It was a protected business. What I've heard since then is this is one of Jerry Jarrett's most brilliant ideas. And Michael, we've talked about it so many times, that it was the road to the gold to build for Jack Briscoe and Jerry Lawler. They fed him everybody. Dick the Bruiser. They fed him Bobo Brazil, Rufus R. Jones, just so many different people, that Dory Funk Jr., so many people, they fed him. What I've always understood, you saw, and the whole deal, Lawler beat them all. Lawler beat them all. Lawler beat them all. He was a heel, so he'd obviously cheat. Didn't beat nobody clean because you just didn't do that when you were a heel. You cheated, but what I always understood is that they got there and they had a screw finish in mind, and Johnny Walker, Mr. Wrestling 2, would not do it. So that's why they did the disqualification. Did you ever hear that, and does that surprise you, Michael?
Doesn't surprise me. Johnny Walker was very headstrong and had a image, and I'm sure that he carried that around with him to whenever and these were just one shots. And, I remember Ken Patera coming in as part of that, Dusty Rhodes coming in as part of that. You mentioned Bobo Brazil, and it just seemed like every week. And if they missed a week, they'd come back with somebody big and strong the next week. And in fact, if I'm not mistaken, did not Bill Watts do a shot with Jerry during that run? Or
not that I know of.
I don't remember that.
Somebody else maybe it was Dr. Death, Steve Williams. Seems like he did.
That would have been Dr. Death, Steve Williams. The Road to Gold was in 74.
But I can remember, the reason I say that, I can remember Bill Watts doing a promo. And if it wasn't for himself, it was for somebody. And I can't remember who that somebody was.
Was it Ernie Ladd, maybe?
Maybe.
Sure. He would have been around at that time.
Yeah, could have been.
Ernie Ladd was one of the people that came in that put Lawler over. The next video, I think you'll be interested in this. This could be anywhere from 73 to 75. It's 3 minutes, 28 seconds. And I think, Michael, you will obviously know who Jerry Lawler's opponent is there. You can tell us, and I think it's Louisville, and I think I know who the announcer is, but here's Michael saying, John, to tell us if the announcer's who I think it is. 3:28 on Talking Memphis Wrestling.
Sam Bass has been guilty of almost constant interference in this match.
That's Harry Thornton. That's Harry Thornton doing that. Is this Louisville or is this Chattanooga City Auditorium?
I thought it was Louisville. I could be wrong. It could be Chattanooga. You would know more than me.
I just, from where this camera is set and from looking and hearing Harry Thornton, I would give it probably 90% that this is actually the City Auditorium or the City Auditorium in Chattanooga.
Has tightened it around the neck of the helpless Tojo Yamamoto. There you see Lawler yanking Tojo around the ring.
So Lawler's the heel, Tojo's the babyface.
Now he takes it off. He's going to hide it so that the ref can.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah,
absolutely, yes.
This was after Tojo came out to help Jerry Jarrett and admitted that he was Jerry's mentor. So he turned into a good guy.
From the referee. Slams him with the buckle end of it.
Al Tuttle is enjoying this footage.
Around his right fist, and he's using it.
If you look close enough, Michael, you can find some vintage stuff.
Damage on Tojo. Now Sam Bass has picked up a chair, the ring announcer's chair. Started in.
I'm trying to see. I'm trying to see if this is a young Ronnie West that's the referee, because of course he lived in Chattanooga in that area as well.
No question about it. In his quest for the championship, trying to lift the belt.
I don't recognize the referee. At least I can't get a good look at him.
It's not the best video quality. I'm sure this is film when you think, Adam.
Must be.
This looks like 8mm film.
Staying on his feet with the unbelievable amount of punishment he's taken from Lawler and from Bass. Look at that. Now Sam Bass has it. He's tightened it around the neck of Tojo. The referee busy with Jerry Lawler, and Bass is continuing the battle.
How did you rate Harry Thornton as an announcer, Michael?
Look at that, man.
He was a crusty old son of a gun. Not a bad announcer. Better made for radio than TV. Had a great morning show there. Had a great morning show on WDEF radio, and did TV as well in the morning.
Frank Seaton said it's funny that Jerry's first match was against Tojo in Jonesboro. His first match with the Memphis promotion was in Jonesboro. Lawler had been wrestling in the Outlaws beforehand. Looks like a good crowd there in Chattanooga.
Who will hide it, of course, so that the referee can't see it if he searches Lawler, and that's what he's doing.
Yeah, Lawler started out wrestling in West Memphis for a few times before he ended up coming to Memphis.
Clean, no hidden object of any kind. He had it, but he flipped it over to Sam Bass, and that's the way it is right now. So fans, Lawler is the champion still and retains his title.
Look at the fans right at ringside.
What seeing that video tells me is that we've come a long way in video, Michael.
We haven't come that far in crowd control, though. I mean, they were ready to storm the ring. But yeah, that looked like an old 8mm film back in the day.
Very interesting. Now it's time for the cards of the week. 4827 is a card, and this is just advertising on television. Michael, how much of this can you see? And I saw this. I thought it was interesting. Don't know much about it. So Michael will guide us through this.
Boy, this is an old one. Cora Combs. Boy, what a picture that is. Of course, Debbie Combs' mother, later in life, wrestled as the Lady Satan. An incredible female performer. I'm not going to call her a performer. Incredible wrestler. Don and Luke Fields, the first wrestling match I ever went to in Huntsville, Alabama at the Patton Street Armory with my Uncle John. Don and Luke Fields were in the main event against Jackie and Sonny Fargo. So those are the Fields brothers. Don't miss History's TV card, Wild Tag Battle. That's Jackie and Don Fargo, which is Don and Luke Fields. Four of the nation's top girl wrestlers in a tag battle. Cora Combs and Kay Noble against Mrs. Pancho Villa and Miss Laura Martinez. So that sounds like a couple of the Hispanic stars that were in the area.
Now, this obviously was not a newspaper ad advertising the live event. This is strictly promoting the live Channel 8 WSIX TV. And it said, is this correct on Channel 8 that it was at 9:30 at night?
Yes. Huh. By the time this came around, yes. When they switched frequencies with Channel 2 is when they moved it to mornings. So that was in 69, 70 maybe. But yeah, that's when they switched the show to mornings. The WSIX again was ABC in Nashville on Channel 8. The other two stations in Nashville were 4 and 5. 4 was WSM, NBC, 5 CBS, WTVF, WLAC TV at one time. But they flipped frequencies, they flipped channels. Channel 2, which was the public television station in Nashville, became Channel 8. Channel 8 became Channel 2, so ABC was on 2, NBC on 4, CBS on 5.
Now, I think I read, and see if it makes sense to you, Michael, I think I read this was 1959 because Richard was asking what year this ad was
Really?
from.
Wow. That's earlier than I would think, but it's absolutely possible. It's absolutely possible. And I think it's probably because I know at one time they would do it if there wasn't a TV or if there wasn't a live show, say your live show got preempted by Christmas or New Year's or something, they would promote the TV in the newspaper so people would at least have a reminder where to watch wrestling.
You know, I know Cora Combs was around in 59 because she was one of Elvis Presley's favorite wrestlers. He would invite her, to come back to the house, and they had some special method for getting her out of the Coliseum so that she could go have an audience with the king at Graceland. So that apparently Cora was quite the looker.
Next card, as we take a look at, we go all the way to Florida. We go to Tampa. The year was 1970 as the Fort Hesterly Armory there. The Great Mephisto against Danny Miller. A girls' mixed tag team match was there. Ella Waddick and Vivian Vachon in a Florida women's title match. Jack Briscoe and Ron Fuller in Ron Fuller's rookie year against Mr. Saito and Oki Shinoki, I don't know that name, Tarzan Tyler against Hiro Matsuda for the Southern Heavyweight Championship, and then a Florida Tag Team Championship, Dusty Rhodes and Dick Murdoch. So this is before Dusty was switched babyface against Jose Lothario and Big Jake. So interesting to see old cars, Michael, from other territories. So we can go ahead and lose that.
And that was a famous arena in Tampa, Florida, the arena that made wrestling, and wrestling that made the arena at the Fort Hester Armory. Not air conditioned, if you can imagine. Smoke filled armory, low ceiling. They had a stage. I went to one match there, saw Jerry Lawler wrestle there, wrestle Dusty there. Was on vacation down there and ended up with Jerry at Lum's restaurant, one of his favorite hot dog places. You know, Jerry never drank, but Lum's hot dogs were steamed in beer. And but anyway, had lunch with him, and then I went to the show that night at that armory, and those fans. And you got to remember the makeup of Tampa. You have a lot of Hispanics from Puerto Rico. You have a lot of Puerto Ricans, I should say, a lot of Cubans, a lot of Anglos, of course, the black fans. It was a great mixture, and they were all there to see one thing, and that was wrestling. That was never was a fight except in the ring at the Fort Hester Armory.
Very interesting. As we go ahead with the next card, we go back to your neck of the world. We go 48-49, and no, we don't, because here we go to Mobile, Alabama, and I would guess I skipped a card. So this is Mobile, Alabama on November the 6th, 1973. Michael, can you read this card?
Absolutely. Opening match, Alabama State Championship on the line. Dick Dunn against Norvell Austin. Southeastern Junior Heavyweight Championship match. Les Thatcher, the champion, against Kubla Khan. The Mid-South Women's Tag Team title match, Paula Kay and Dottie Downs against Susan Green and Peggy Patterson. And I can tell you, I know nothing about any of those ladies. Gulf Coast Championship match, Mike the Hippie Boyette against the Masked Medic. U.S. Tag Team title, Flash and Rocket Monroe against the Infernos with manager J.C. Dietz. World Junior Heavyweight Championship match, the fabulous Jackie Fargo against Danny Hodge. That'd be a great match because Hodge could work amateur and then he could work professional. That would have to be a really good match. And the world title for the women, the fabulous Moolah against Tony Rose. And the NWA World Heavyweight Championship on the line as Jack Briscoe takes on local favorite and outstanding wrestler Ken Lucas.
Wow, that's a big card for Mobile.
Michael, your thoughts?
I lost my audio.
All right, we hear Michael. Michael cannot hear us. Adam, would you send Michael a quick chat and tell him that we can hear him. He cannot hear us, and so we're trying to. Michael said I lost Randy's audio. William, you talk. See if can you hear me, William?
Yeah, I was gonna. So, what year? This must have been when Jack Briscoe was the champion. So it was like 73.
1973.
73. Okay. I would not have guessed that Ken Lucas would have been the person in Mobile who would have been chosen, to face Jack Briscoe for the NWA championship. But that tells you how little we knew, about the other cities outside of our own. In those days, even though you saw a lot of the same guys in Memphis as they did in Mobile, we had no idea what was going on there. So I never, we saw Ken Lucas in Memphis occasionally, but he was maybe not really a main event kind of a guy. I mean, he was upper middle card at least, but, he certainly wouldn't have considered him for a world title match. So that was just interesting. I thought that's the way it was.
Now, the radio guy did not have microphone issues, but he had speaker issues. I cannot believe it. My feelings are hurt. Michael, you couldn't hear me. Could you hear Rusty?
No, I couldn't. And actually, I think it was an internet issue because the little wheel started spinning on my screen, and then it came back.
Where's the cat?
Not around.
Okay, that's usually the problem.
It is. It is. No, I can't blame her this time.
Now, can you speak to Doc on Ken Lucas' treatment in Memphis compared to this card in Mobile where he was over like Rover?
Yeah, he just wasn't over that much in Memphis, as I recall, as he seems to be in Mobile.
As I recall working with Ken a couple of times, and he would come in and was a great wrestler, and the fans would ingratiate him very well. I mean, he was a great baby face, but he had a reputation of being hard to deal with in the office and in the locker room, and I think that's how he got crossways with Jerry Jarrett. And he was just a mid-carder in there, but in Mobile, he was always top of the card. I think there was another territory he was real strong in too, but I can't remember which one it was.
Southwest Wrestling in Texas, he and Rick Morton.
That's right.
Rick Morton credits Ken Lucas for teaching him how to be a babyface.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Tracy Vincent, Mr. Sir Scratchoff says, good show as always, headed out to drive route all night. We appreciate the truck drivers in this country to keep everything going. So Tracy, we appreciate that very much as we go to our next card right now. And as we go ahead and go, and I believe it's 4854. 4854, and I don't know if we lost Adam here, and let me look and see. Adam is still here, and that is the card I was looking for, and this is Lexington, Kentucky at the world famous Rupp Arena on Thursday, November 8th, 1979. Michael, starting with the opening match, going to the main event.
Buddy and Ken Wayne taking on Hector Guerrero and Steve Regal. Now there's a team that, in fact, Steve Regal, I think, made a cameo on Monday Night Raw last night.
I don't think it's the same Steve Regal, though, Michael.
I think you're right. I think I've done that before. I think it is a different guy.
This is Wilbur Snyder's son-in-law.
That's right. The Steven Regal, that is the English guy, was the one that made the cameo last night. The Fabulous Freebirds, Terry Gordy and Michael Hayes against Sonny King and Rick Morton. Match. Cowboy Lang against Billy the Kid. Southern Tag Team title match. No time limit, no disqualification. Hair versus hair. Loser of the match will lose his hair in the ring. Wayne Ferris and Larry Latham, the Blonde Bombers, with manager Sergeant Danny Davis, against Steve Kyle and Coco Ware. The Continental Wrestling Association's World Heavyweight Championship match. Superstar Billy Graham against Jerry the King Lawler, and in the main event, the AWA World Tag Match, or World Heavyweight Championship match. The champion, Nick Bockwinkel, puts his title on the line against the superstar Bill Dundee. Did they not, on the when they unified the CWA Championship, or when they introduced the CWA Championship, didn't Jerry Jarrett bring in Billy Graham to do the honors?
To make him the first champion, and they basically created a title for Lawler to be the world champion since they wouldn't have any luck. That was certainly not the best thing. So, your opinion of that card, Rusty?
Boy, that was a big one. That was in Louisville or Lexington, one of the
Lexington, Kentucky, at the famous Rupp Arena.
Yeah, boy, that was a big card. I don't remember ever seeing that came in Memphis. I mean, I think Billy Graham might have come a time or two, but I don't quite remember that, that context really. So that's interesting.
Were you still in Memphis in 1979?
Yes. And I was seeing matches in 79, but I don't remember that specifically.
He was full-time for about 3 months. Any more questions or comments, Michael, from you about that card?
No, Billy Graham, he had a heck of a legacy, but a sad ending to that old legacy. And I always like, but when you listen to Billy Graham, the wrestler Billy Graham, and the way he did his promos, and then you listen to Hulk Hogan, I mean, no way in heck that you can deny the fact that Hulk Hogan got a lot of his mannerisms, if you would, a lot of his languages with Billy Graham in mind.
very interesting stuff. Right now, Michael and Rusty, just we're gonna let you take a quick stay in the backstage area. I want to go full screen with me because I want to talk about a little bit as we have developed over the last 6 years doing the show. I feel we're all friends, and we do, as we've talked all the time, medical stuff and different stuff as we go through time about our personal life, the good, the bad, and the ugly. This is a show about professional wrestling, but we talk about other stuff. Now, I want to go back to 1981. In a few minutes, we'll show a card on February the 9th, 1981. In 1981, I was in my second semester of school at Arkansas State University. I remember that in the winter break, one Saturday, my dad had retired his birthday in November, and he had been having back issues and was going to the doctor and went to chiropractor and different things, and then I found out a few hours before I left to go to the Saturday night Jonesboro, Arkansas matches that my parents, my mother and father both, came in my bedroom and sat down on the bed and told me that my dad had been diagnosed for cancer and this was in late December that had that conversation and and it was the most traumatic news that I ever had in my life. And we have a couple of pictures, and it's the last two pictures, Adam, that we have on the graphics there. And this is my dad. And this is probably 2 weeks before he passed away, and this is him in the hospital bed that was set up in my parents' bedroom, and there's a picture there. Just about a year and a half earlier, the next picture is a picture of my dad, and this was at a family reunion in Hot Springs, Arkansas. That's my dad, far left. My mother, Margaret Hales, that passed away. My dad passed away in 1981. My mother passed away in 2011. My sister, Judy K. Hales Wise, she passed away in 2018, and there is me, and there we go. So certainly, and I think as we go back, as Michael went to get a drink of water, and certainly you can imagine a 19-year-old kid, Rusty, you get that sort of news, that's pretty traumatic.
Well, I had the exact same experience. My father died of cancer in 1979, and I was a sophomore in college at the time. So I had a very similar, experience to that. So I understand it very well. Now, if you want a little bit more upbeat thing to think about, not thinking about so many downers for
That kind of leads into my next deal, but go ahead real quick.
Okay, so 1981 was when my wife and I were seniors in college. In fact, February of 1981 was a date we were just speaking about a few days ago, and she's already rolling her eyes at this. So we had her sororities. Now she's getting mad at me, so maybe I better not do it. But we did get married in June of 1981 at the end of our senior year, like 2 weeks after graduation. And we had a lot of fun. I'll put it that way.
All right. Anyway, next. Anyway, now, the way this was going on, this is the situation, and that was a little levity to get us out of this sad situation, but we will get out of that sad situation. And Michael, back. So, Michael, you missed me talking about. We're going to talk in a few minutes about a card on February the 9th, 1981. In February 1981, I just started my second semester of college at Arkansas State University. My father, who had just turned 63 years old, retired. He got back problems, going to chiropractors, all kinds of doctors, found out that he had cancer. There he is in the hospital bed at our house, and there's the whole family picture with my father and my mother. This was probably 6 months uh, bef- before. I was told on a Saturday night that before I left to go to the Jonesboro Hospital, my dad had cancer. So in and out of hospital, that situation. On Sunday night, the 8th day of February, it was scheduled the next morning. My dad was going to go by ambulance to a hospital in Little Rock to get further treatment and try to get some help from a bigger city and a bigger uh, deal. My dad had a bad day that Saturday, so on Sunday night, I know it's your business, but I ended up should have gone to jail because on that Sunday, the 10th, we took my dad, who is in tremendous pain, and this whole 3 or 4 month ordeal, we had never once taken him to the emergency room. Never once. I'll get hot and emotional here. Never once. He was in so much pain. I never witnessed anything like that. Called an ambulance, took him to the hospital. They wouldn't let me go in to the emergency room. I had to stay in the waiting room. That made sense. My mother went out. My mother came back in, and there was a retired doctor that just did emergency work, and he was probably older. Certainly, I was a kid, so he might not have been as old as I thought he was. He chewed my mother out, cussed her. He said, "Miss Hales, we don't have effing time." My mother, church going person that had effing time for every little pain he has to bring him to the hospital. We got too much to do. Had her in tears. So she came out all in tears. I thought he had died. And so I was upset. Then she told me that doctor cussed me and said we can't bring him up here every second. So the doctor came through, and my mother saw Randy ORH. She'd never seen RH before. She saw wrestling business person RH as a young 18-year-old kid, 19-year-old kid, whatever. I went after him. I was cussing all the thing, lunged at him, and doctors and nurses and everything pulled me apart. I'm lucky I didn't go from jail to. You couldn't get away with that in the hospital. Now I threatened to kill him. All of it just went snapped, absolutely snapped. Anyway, so came back home. Then the next Tuesday he was going to go to the Little Rock Hospital. Well, Monday I told my mother I just won't go to the Memphis matches. She said, "You've been talking about it for a month. It's going to be Lawler and Hulk Hogan." She's smart enough. She said, "You can't miss that match. You can't miss that. You got to go." So I went and saw Hulk Hogan and Jerry Lawler on February the 9th, 1981. Came back home, and it's funny. Came back home. I made that trip 100 times. I missed the exit. I went like I was going to Little Rock instead of Jonesboro. Got home. Now, I find out later if I would have not got lost, I would have been in a situation that I wouldn't wanted to be a part of. Anyway, so I get home and my driveway full of cars. Full of cars. So I know something's wrong. I always parked in the back. There was no room in the back. I parked on the street and go in the front door. We had an enclosed front porch. I opened that front door, and the hospital bed that my dad for the last several weeks been sleeping on had been disassembled and put on the front porch. So I knew he was dead. I walked in the house and I knew, certainly the hospital bed was right there. I knew he didn't get better. No, so I knew what happened, and so I sacrificed a lot for wrestling. The one I regret the most, going that night and not being there with my mother, my grandmother, my dad on the last night of his match. So we'll talk about the card in a minute, but I don't know if there's any. I feel uncomfortable sharing that story. It's a pretty powerful story, Michael. I don't know if there's any reaction to that or if the story speaks for itself. Do you have anything to say?
I I can empathize with you, and I can empathize because when my dad died, I had taken all these courses when I first moved down here, and I'd been Red Cross certified before, but got recertified and then learned CPR and all the techniques. And my dad died in my arms, and I didn't realize that when I was taking all those classes for CPR that they don't always work. And so it's always a shocking situation. But you loved your dad, but you also loved this sport that we all love, and you gave that night to that sport. There's nothing wrong, and I'm sure if your dad could tell you today, he would have much rather
Oh,
you
they
did.
want me to go.
They
I
would have
think
rather.
he knew he was done. I think he wanted me out of the house.
There's your answer. There's your answer.
Rusty?
Oh, yeah, that makes absolute sense to me. I will say a couple of things that struck me about that story you were telling us. Number one, sadly, particularly in those days, but still, I think to some degree, there were doctors who acted like that. And, I wanted to make sure during my career that I never did something like that because I experienced it a few times. The second thing was in those days, emergency room doctors, they were like the lowest of the low. In other words, you did emergency room if you couldn't do anything else, basically. And it's much different now. We have a recognized and board certified specialty of emergency medicine. And that's where virtually all of our emergency room doctors come from now. But in those days, that was not the case. You never knew who you would get. In a particular small town emergency room, boy, you had no idea.
All right. So that leads up to February the 9th that I was at the Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis, Tennessee. The very last card that is up there, go ahead and put that card. I'm going to have to read the card because this quality is bad. It's really bad. And so I will have to read you that card on February the 9th, 1981. And it drew 9,000 people. Remember, Lawler missed the whole year 1980 due to a broken leg. He came back at actually the last Monday of the year of 1980, but this is 1981. They were bringing in a lot of talent as his return. 9,000 people. As Hector Guerrero opened up the card against Gypsy Joe, Eddie Gilbert and Eddie Hogan, who ended up as Brutus Beefcase against Ali Hassan and the Angel, a 10-man elimination match. The Dream Machine, Ali Hassan, Gypsy Joe, and the Angel Frank Morrell against Sonny King, Eddie Gilbert, Eddie Hogan, and Hector Guerrero. Then for the Southern Tag Team Championship, Jimmy Kent's hair at stake. The Bounty Hunters with Jimmy Kent against Bill Dundee and Tommy Rich on February the 9th, 1981. In the main event, Jerry Lawler against Hulk Hogan, February the 9th, 1981. This is the card. I was there at the Mid-South Coliseum on the night my dad had passed away. So, thoughts on this card, Rusty?
Yeah, I think you and I were there together because I remember this card very well too. Um, I thought it was so great that Hogan was in town. We just loved it. They had already started calling him um, the Hulk, not just Hulk Hogan. And that was in part due to that promo that Michael did that was so fabulous. So yeah, I was in the Coliseum that night too.
Very interesting. And Michael, what were you doing in 1981?
Hulk Hogan promos.
Were He debuted in '79, so this is after he was working for.
That's just
Yeah,
later.
this is later. This is later. Yeah, I was 81. We went number 1 in Nashville with Kicks 104, and that was a very special year. The thing that amazes me now, Eddie Hogan now, is that Brutus the Barber Beefcake?
Yes, Ed Leslie.
Okay,
Yep.
And what amazes me on this is it's a lot of matches, but look at all the people that did double duty.
Oh yeah.
That did 2 shots, which is, you normally would see that in a spot show, but you wouldn't see it normally at the Mid-South Coliseum.
Very interesting card. All right, we are going to get out of here a little earlier than normal. It looks like we got one video to go. This is in 1976. This is Jerry Lawler against Tommy Rich. It's 7 minutes 26 seconds from the Mid-South Coliseum.
Pick a jacket.
World famous leisure suit.
But at the moment, the King
Fargo looked like a star, guys,
mocking Jerry Lawler.
when he was a star.
Absolutely.
Has things going pretty well his way. He has Rich bleeding profusely from around the right eye and the head. Ooh.
Now, Tommy was a good bleeder. He had that blonde hair, so it got all in his hair and stuff. He always looked good.
Hello, Eddie Cox. What's going on?
Takes another big right from Lawler.
Hear the screaming from the lady from the audience?
And the youngster wobbling around the ring as Lawler really has him in serious trouble.
Now, at this point in time, was it Tommy in Georgia Championship Wrestling?
Lister's Rich.
He didn't go to Georgia Championship Wrestling to 1977. This was 76. Nick Goulas had not split at this point.
Okay. So this is still under Goulas. Okay.
Eddie Cox said he was there that night. I bet Rusty was there.
I'm not sure. I don't remember it specifically, but it's not impossible.
Lawler, all the confidence in the world, as he always has. Becoming obnoxious with it as he taunts Jackie Fargo and continues to slam Tommy Rich around the ring. Rich. We passed the 9-minute mark. We'll make that the 12-minute mark. And Tommy Rich in serious trouble. He's bleeding very heavily. Almost goes out between the ropes.
Tommy Rich was 2 years into the business at this point.
As Rich is outside the ropes, Rich down on the floor.
Now, Tommy had been a pretty good high school athlete.
Football player.
Yeah, Hendersonville, I believe, or in Middle Tennessee somewhere.
It was Hendersonville. He was a commando.
And somehow either knew or got in touch with somehow Jerry Jarrett, who got him into the wrestling business.
5 or 6 seconds outside the ring. Rich may not make
If I'm not mistaken, Tommy's mother was a big wrestling fan and came to the matches in Nashville quite a bit. I believe that's the story.
The story I always heard that Tommy Rich's dad was best friends with Eddie Marlin.
Okay,
That's how
that
he
makes
got
sense.
into the business.
That makes sense. I knew there was a connection there.
Rich inside the ring with a suplex.
So this is Tommy first major break, and Fargo distracted Lawler there. So you see where that's going. This is leading to Fargo and Lawler. Frank, I can't speak. I think Tommy would admit he made more money with Lawler than just about anybody, whether he likes him or not like him. There's different. Tommy was kind of a partier, and Lawler wasn't. And, I just can't really answer that question. 1976, the cameraman, Mike Shields. Do you remember David Ferguson, or was that before your time?
That was before my time, I believe.
One of Eddie Marlin's best friends, him and Jerry Jarrett got David a tough son of a gun in the business, and he was a good referee. David got, do you remember David Ferguson, William?
No, I don't know that person.
He ended up passing away early, lived in the house, the street right behind Clearview Circle where Eddie lived, Michael. His wife Charlotte, I think, still lives on that street.
Wow. This match is all Jerry.
Yeah.
Well, you know what the finish is going to be.
Yeah.
I used to like finishes like this. All heat, all heat, all heat. We'll see if this is just something out of the blue.
You just knew that was going to happen.
All heat, the whole match, the distraction, the 1, 2, 3, and Michael, listen to the people.
Oh, just perfect how Jackie would tease coming into the ring and get him distracted. And each time he did it, Lawler got a little bit more disturbed and a little bit more distracted.
Fargo gets his jacket.
Fargo dressed up like a country music star.
Absolutely.
Possessor of the Southern Heavyweight title, Lawler having a fit in the center of the ring. Trying to get Fargo back.
I think Jackie kind of imagined himself a country music star at one point when he was working with Eddie Bond and owned
had a couple of records out.
Yeah.
Title, an incredible turn of events. As Tommy Rich being helped back.
Lance is doing so good as you listen to that commentary. Adam had made in our side private chat made some notes about that. Lance is so good.
And he loses the Southern Heavyweight title.
All right, and there you go. What a show. Now, to recap the show and for his final take, anything you want to talk about, final words of this edition of Talking Memphis Wrestling from the Blues Doctor. His show releases tonight. It doesn't release tonight, it escapes tonight. Here's Rusty.
Oh, thank you again, Randy, for putting up with me being off for a few weeks. I do appreciate it. I always enjoy it when I come back to do these shows, and I really do this time because I've been away for a reason I didn't really want to be. And I appreciate you showing all of the clips that you did. That clip from February of 1981 brought back a lot of memories for me that I can't share with you right now, but it did, and I truly do appreciate it. Thank you so much, Randy.
All right, very good. Thank you, and it was good to have you back. Check out At Midnight and On Demand on the Blues Doctor podcast on YouTube. Final words. It's been a couple of weeks since Michael St. John. Now, Michael, we are wrapping up football season. I'm sure that in Alabama, the Crimson Tides, they're back. Football going on, high school football, a lot of things going on here in Northeast Arkansas, in the host state of Arkansas. Final take and a review of what we've seen today, and it's been great to have you back after missing a couple of weeks. Glad you're back.
I think we ought to name this the reunion show because both me and Doc got back on the same night, and I didn't want to miss the last two nights or two Tuesday nights, that's for sure. But when you get the workload gets a little heavier when you get into the playoffs and at the end of the football season, and you have like 3 months to prepare going into it, and then when the playoffs come, you've got a week to get everything together for 4 different teams. So and then they advance, so then you got to do it another week and so forth. So I'm not complaining, but I do miss it, and it's great. It's great being back. I mean, it really is, and I just have so much fun doing this show, and it's a great respite for me that I can sort of let my hair down, take a deep breath, and put everything out of my mind and talk something I absolutely love, and talking Memphis wrestling and talking it with you, Randy, and what you and Adam Dunn continue to do with the show is just incredible. But thank you for the opportunity. My final take is this: we're in the middle of November. November is sort of an odd month, but I always say, Melanie and we laugh about it. As you get older in life, when you hit Memorial Day, football season's around the corner. So you got Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, boom, and they're there. And then you hit Halloween, and then all of a sudden it's Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. And that's about the speed of light that we're running right now. So a great opportunity. And again, for all the folks that have watched in and listened into this show, thank you for your time, and thank you for your patronage to the show. We love doing it. And Randy, as long as you tolerate me doing it, I stand with you as a proud person that absolutely loves and worships the part of my life that became Memphis Championship Wrestling. And of course, going back and thinking and talking about it just makes it that much more fun now these days.
We're going to put all 3 of us back on the screen, and we will end the show talking about this wacky weather in Northeast Arkansas. Curious to know the weather in Alabama, and I don't know if Rusty's in New Orleans or if he's in Orange Beach. Where are you, Rusty?
I'm in New Orleans, but it's actually pretty much the same as in Orange Beach. We had a couple of cold days, and when I say cold, the lows got down in the mid-40s, I believe, last night and the night before. But it was warmer today and bright sunshine. I think it's going to be even warmer tomorrow. So by Saturday, for a Tulane homecoming game, it's going to be a high in the low 70s, bright sunshine, minimal wind, so it should be perfect.
Now, weather here, I woke up this morning, thank God, newfangled cars. I woke up this morning, it was 28 degrees, it was 4 o'clock in the morning. So I grabbed my phone, went to the Ford app, clicked on that, clicked on start car, and I'm smart enough when I got out last night, I cranked the fan up and the heat on and all that stuff ready. So the cool thing is you can start the vehicle, the car stays locked. Even if the car stays locked, you can't actually start the engine without the key in the car. So even if somebody busted the window out, they couldn't go nowhere. They could just bust the window anyway. So by the time I got in the car, it was felt warm, but man, just going the 30 step to the car was cold in the 20s. Now it's 49 degrees, and we're supposed to have 70-degree weather coming up in the next couple of days. And by Saturday or Sunday, it's down. I got a weather report during this broadcast. It's supposed to be cold here. Now for the Arab Alabama weather forecast, here's broadcasting legend Michael St. John doing his Dave Brown impersonation.
My weather here, I'm like you. It's the same way here. It all came through here Sunday afternoon, and we had a rain event, and then the temperature started dropping. When I got out of the bed yesterday morning at whatever time it was 37 degrees here at the house. On Friday, when I left the radio station to come home, it was 74. So it was half of what the temperature was on Friday. On Monday, it was half of that. So your body goes into toxic or some kind of shock. I don't know if it's toxic shock or not. I don't like cold weather. And the older I get, the worse it gets on me. I don't know.
What is it there temperature-wise now in Arab, Alabama?
We're at 45.
What's the high tomorrow? Do you know?
The high tomorrow is supposed to be 53, but then on Thursday it's 60, and on Friday it's 69, and Saturday for the Alabama A&M, Florida A&M football game in Huntsville, which I'm going to because my son, coaches at Florida A&M. That's going to be 73 and no rain. We have no rain through the weekend. But I saw what you saw, Randy. Sunday night, we get a rain event here, and then Monday it's supposed to get colder again, but not as cold as the deep freeze was we've had the last couple of days.
All right, this has been a fun show. I'll be honest, I love every member of the panel. Everybody brings their unique perspective to the show. I certainly, because we're all different stories and different commitments and different things. So I would never say, hey, William or Michael or Pat or Chris or whatever, I don't need you this week. But when there's two panels, Michael, we've had talk like that. When they're just, no matter who the two is, it's easier. When we have four panel members plus me and plus at times Adam, that's hard to navigate. This is best case scenario, but we can't always do that because we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But do you agree, Michael, as a broadcaster, when we have four of us, or four of us plus me, that's just too many?
Well, I can compare this to what we do with our football broadcast here on Fun Radio on 92.7 and our other broadcast. We have two people and a play-by-play guy. I'm the play-by-play guy, okay? So the play-by-play guy is the host, just like Randy is. When it's just two, when it's Ronnie Shoemate beside me and Ben Elrod or Chad on the sideline, we have great calls. The game flows. We don't have flubs. The problem is when you get that extra person or extra two folks in there, you're trying to share time on the microphone, which takes away from the play-by-play, and it takes away from the color commentary, and it takes away from the sideline reports. So you're trying, like you say, Randy, to make it all work and balance out, but the broadcast is not as good. But when you have three, if you have to have two, you can get by, but two's tougher because then both people have to talk more. But when you have that play-by-play guy and a color guy and a down on the field sideline person, you look at your TV broadcast, that's the way they do it. And it turns out a better broadcast. And I totally agree with the way you said it tonight, Randy. Not that we want to hurt anybody's feelings. And, there are times that I'm not here, but when Pat and Chris are here, or whatever the combination is, I think we're integral parts that you can take this part away and put that other part in and not miss a beat. So I think that makes for a great broadcast.
As long as the content is good.
And you and Adam do a fabulous job with that.
Work hard to do it. Thank you, guys. This has been fun. Thank you, Adam, who has not graced. I don't know if you know this or not. Have you been on the show since Adam had capabilities to be on air?
Oh yeah. I saw the studio and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. So he is back and able to do that. So if it gets down to just me, then we have Adam doesn't mind at all to come in, and Adam and I love talking TV. This has been fun, and we appreciate it. Thank you, guys, and have a great weekend. And I hope everybody's teams win.
Thanks, Randy. So long, everybody.
I'm Randy Hills. For Adam Dunn, Michael St. John, and Rusty the Blues Doctor. Good night, everybody. We out.
And paid by parties other than this station, namely the promoters of USWA Championship Wrestling.
Can we leave?
Talking Memphis Wrestling with Randy Hales is now streaming live on Fun Media at fun927.com and is always on Facebook, YouTube, X, Twitch, and at tv5wrestling.com.
Talking Memphis Wrestling with Randy Hales and special guests.